Then I want you to go, well, what's the impact on me when I communicate in my survival guide, right? I've got my backpack on and I'm going into the meeting or conversation and I don't realize I've got my backpack on because I'm just used to carrying this thing around. And so what's the impact when we're communicating through our survival guide? All right, so have a think about, I'm just going to write a few up. So for me, held myself back. I certainly wasn't having any fun, right? Can you see that? I'll read it out anyway. I wasn't definitely not having any fun. I didn't let myself stand out in my big energy and play and just get stuff wrong. And yes, maybe the slang came through. So I wasn't accessing all the beautiful ideas that we can have when we're in our relaxed creative space. When I'm being serious and I'm not creative and I'm awkward and I'm shy and I'm trying to control, that's a flavor to that, yes? There's no freedom there. And when there's no freedom, there's no ability to connect or build trust or engage. I'm just trying to control everything and push, yeah? So you can see some of those impacts. So what are your impacts? Type them in the chat box. I'd love to see what are the impacts on you from being in your survival guide. One of them was self-conscious. What's the impact on you of being self-conscious? I imagine that you don't say what you really want to say, so don't speak up, yeah? And then what's the impact of not speaking up? Do we limit our career? Do we limit our opportunities? Do we not attract the relationship that we want? Do we suffer in our family dynamics? Like limited contribution, Helen, thank you. I'll just put some more over here. Limited contribution. You know, I knew that I had a lot to give and contribute. There was a lot going on in my heart that I wanted to contribute and communicate. But through this survival guide, there was no way that I was going to be able to do that. And so not only could I not contribute, but others couldn't, I wasn't letting anyone else in either. And I would wonder why I would be called a bully or aloof or a snob, which I'd been called, right? But I didn't understand that. But I had my survival guide on, and that's how I was communicating, yeah? So people couldn't get into me. Don't engage with others, yep. Don't engage, both said the same thing at the same time. Missed opportunities, yes. So lots and lots of impacts, yes? Okay. So excellent. So there's two things, I've got 6 minutes, there's two things I want to give you. So you're getting the flavor of this, yes? That you created a survival guide based on your experiences, and now you walk around with that backpack. And so what we want to do is start to take things out of the backpack, or even take the backpack off completely. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? All right, so I'm hoping that this is making sense and you're all on board with this and getting this. Okay, so I told you I would share with you the 3 mistakes. So the first mistake is, and I'm not going to rub that off because I want to use that wheel. The first mistake is we're not aware of the backpack. Maybe I'll put it up here. The first mistake that we make in our communication is that we're not aware of the backpack, right? So we communicate thinking that we're just, you know, we've got all our senses around us, but we're actually got our backpack on and communicating from our survival guide. We don't, so the next mistake is we don't consider who's in the room. So we don't consider, and if you want to go back to one of our previous breakfast events where I talk about the DISC hack around behavioural communication profiles, that will help you understand this point. Don't consider who's in the room. Right? So if I'm a certain type of behavioural communication profile and I'm going into a room with different profiles, then it's a really good idea for me to think about how to flex my style, and so I can connect with them in ways that I wouldn't if I was just communicating from my survival guide and my personality and my own default style, yes? And so, as I said before, flexing is not about pleasing others, it's about serving. It's a leadership service mindset, yes? And the third mistake is we're not aware of when we're triggered. So then we just play it out. We just go down the tunnel, the rabbit hole. And sometimes we can feel ourselves going there, but we don't know how to stop it, right? Or it's just so familiar that we just keep going there. And by that, I mean, we might get triggered and so close off, and we just stay closed off. We might get triggered and we project, and we just keep projecting even though we're doing it, or sometimes we don't know we're doing it. So we're not aware of when we're triggered. And so we just play out our survival guide over and over and over again. You with me? So that's really important. Those are the 3 mistakes that I see leaders and people make all the time in their communication. So they're not aware of their survival guide. They're not considering who's in the room. And this could mean when I'm sending an email. When I'm seeing an email or making a phone call, the first thing I think about is what's their behavioral profile? How do I word this so that it connects with them? Yes. Obviously in group settings, that's a bit more complex, but it's still possible. And then when they're not aware of when we're triggered. So those are the 3 mistakes I see over and over again. And then people go, why didn't I have the impact I wanted to have? Why didn't I speak up when I could? It's because of these 3 things. And if you get very good, can you see that? If you get very good at these 3 things, you'll be able to tailor your communication, respond rather than react, you know, listen and be silent with open energy and an open heart rather than a protective energy. Yes? So these 3 things are really important. All right, so the last piece, is everyone getting this? Give me some thumbs up and some, yes, this is making sense and helpful. Helps me to know. Oh man, 2 minutes. Okay, good. Thanks, Rexy. Very helpful, very helpful, very helpful. Excellent. So the last piece I want to give you is, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I want you to draw the last piece. We might go a minute or 2 over today, but and that's never happened before. Do you believe it? I always finish on time, except for the last session. So then what we want to do, see, you've got your wheel. So now the survival guide. Now we want to go, okay, so when I was, so this piece here, this next piece that goes out here, this is going to be really good for the recording. This is going to be the communication style or the communication empowerment that we create. So we're going to drop our backpack, right? And we're going to start to create a new communication style from the inside out from this awareness. So for example, when I presented my fish project and I ran out of the room crying and decided I need to be in more control, what if in that moment I went, oh, that's funny. I just forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? I can't remember. I think I'll make it up, right? So if I had have done that, maybe I might have been more fun. So I can make that mean something different as opposed to what I made it mean in the time. So I can create, I'm making it up. I could make any number of things up, but I want to make up fun. Because what if I just brought fun to that moment? How much better would that have been than me running out of the room crying and then deciding I need to control my communication? You with me? So, excellent. Okay, good, Tony. Thank you. So, for example, I'm emotional, so therefore I need to be serious. Do you know how much serious has impacted my life and my fun in my life? And what about if years ago when I was 30 and I decided, yes, I'm an emotional being, what if I actually embraced that and went, what if I could actually be dynamic with my emotions? And I could be present with my emotions. How much better of a communicator might I be if I'm being dynamic and present and fun rather than controlled and serious? Yes? You with me? And so I've got 1 minute before it turns 8:31. If you have to jump off, but let's just take this moment, if you can, for 1 or 2 more minutes to finish this survival guide for yourself, this is survival guide activity. So I'm going to give you a minute now to think about 1 or 2 times in your story where you can shift the experience from what you decided to something else. Because what if I had been fun in that moment? Or what if I had been dynamic in that moment rather than decide to be serious? So take a moment to do that and then we'll finish. Have an extra large backpack. Very cool. Just take a moment to invest in yourself. What are you going to flip? And if you'd like to write in the chat box, what are you creating now? If I was out there and I was writing in the chat box, I would say dynamic and fun and playful. Those would be my insights just from those two that I could flip. Yes. So then next time I'm starting to feel a bit emotional and I want to go into serious, that's not necessarily what happens now because I've practiced for so long, but it still does. Then I go, hang on a minute, remember I want to be dynamic and fun. Then I flip into that. Right? So that is then your connector for, have I got my backpack on? Or actually, do I want to create something else when I go into this meeting, when I have this conversation with this person? Because you've created now something to practice that's different here, right? That's your communication profile that you can create rather than your survival guide.